If you've ever done something good and been punished for it, this story is for you. It's about a man who lost everything because he chose kindness over convenience, and how fate repaid him in the most unexpected way. Daniel Brooks was a 34-year-old single father, raising his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Life had not been kind to him. 2 years earlier, his wife, Emma, passed away from cancer. Since then, Daniel had been both mother and father, nurse and teacher, comforter and protector. Every morning he woke before sunrise, made Lily's breakfast, and walked her to school before rushing to his job as an office assistant at a logistics company. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. It paid rent, bought school shoes, and kept the lights on. Daniel's boss, Mr. Hargrove, was the kind of man who measured worth by punctuality and numbers on a spreadsheet. He had no patience for personal issues or life problems. In his world, empathy was a weakness. Daniel knew that, which is why he tried his best to stay invisible, to never give Hargrove a reason to notice him. But one rainy Wednesday morning, everything changed. The bus broke down halfway to downtown. Daniel sprinted the last few blocks, holding his work bag in one hand and Lily's forgotten lunchbox in the other. The drizzle had turned into a downpour. He was soaked, breathless, and 3 minutes late already. As he reached the corner near his office, he saw her, a pregnant woman, maybe 8 months along, standing by the curb, holding her belly, her face twisted in pain. She tried waving down a cab, but the morning rush was merciless. Cars splashed past her, horns blaring, no one stopping. Without hesitation, Daniel ran to her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She shook her head, gasping. "My water just broke, I need to get to the hospital." Daniel looked around. No taxis, no one helping. He pulled off his jacket, wrapped it around her shoulders, and called for an ambulance. While waiting, he kept talking to her, trying to calm her. "It's okay, help's on the way. Just breathe with me, all right." She gripped his hand tightly, her nails digging into his skin. "Please don't leave." And he didn't. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was 9:25 a.m. He helped lift her onto the stretcher, gave the paramedics her purse, and only when she was safely inside did he realize he was going to be very, very late. When he finally arrived at the office, hair wet, shirt sticking to his back, Hargrove was waiting. His face was red with anger. "Do you know what time it is, Brooks?" "I'm sorry, sir," Daniel began. "There was a woman, she was pregnant, she went into labor on the street. I don't care," Hargrove barked. "You know the rules. 3 strikes for tardiness, and this is your 3rd. "Please, sir, I was just helping." "You can help yourself right out of this building," Hargrove snapped, shoving a termination form across the desk. "Pack your things." Daniel stood there, stunned. He wanted to argue, but what was the point? He needed this job desperately, but he couldn't lie. He wouldn't say he was late because of traffic. He had done the right thing, and somehow, that was now wrong. He walked out with his box of belongings, his dignity barely intact. That evening, as he sat at the kitchen table with Lily, she noticed his silence. "Daddy, why are you sad?" she asked. He forced a smile. "Just a rough day at work, sweetheart." But later that night, when she was asleep, he sat in the dark living room staring at the bills on the counter. Rent was due in a week. He had a small savings account, but it wouldn't last long. Days turned into weeks. Daniel searched for jobs, applied everywhere, but without a reference from his last boss, doors stayed closed. He started driving for a delivery app, working late into the night. Lily missed him, and he missed her even more. Then, one ordinary Tuesday afternoon, his phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. "Hello, is this Daniel Brooks?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes," he replied cautiously. "This is Grace Whitmore. You helped me about a month ago, on the street, when I went into labor." Daniel's heart skipped. "Oh, you're okay. How's the baby?" "We're both doing wonderful," she said, her voice warm. "I never got to thank you properly. I asked around, and someone from the hospital told me your name. Could we meet?" The next day, they met at a cafe near his apartment. Grace looked radiant, her newborn asleep in a stroller beside her. She smiled when she saw him. "You probably don't remember much, but you held my hand the whole time. I don't know what I would have done without you." Daniel smiled shyly. "I just did what anyone would have." She tilted her head. "No, not anyone. I remember people walking by, pretending not to see me. But you stopped. When Daniel told her what happened afterward, how he'd been fired for being late that same morning, her expression changed. At first disbelief, then anger. He fired you. For that? Daniel shrugged. It's okay. I'll find something else. Grace was quiet for a moment, her eyes narrowing slightly. Daniel, may I ask where you worked? He told her the company name. She nodded slowly, almost too calmly. I see, she said. You know, that's interesting, because I'm actually one of the major investors in that firm. Daniel blinked, unsure if he'd heard right. Grace continued, I've been on maternity leave for the last few months. But it seems I need to pay a visit to my office. A week later, the entire staff gathered in the conference room for an urgent meeting. Mr. Hargrove stood at the front, clearly irritated, adjusting his tie. When Grace walked in, pushing a stroller, whispers filled the room. Good morning, everyone, she said, her voice calm but commanding. I'm Grace Whitmore, one of your company's investors. I recently had a rather enlightening conversation with one of your former employees, Mr. Daniel Brooks. Hargrove stiffened. Ah, yes, I remember him. He was terminated for violating attendance policy. For helping me, Grace interrupted. For saving me and my baby's lives when everyone else walked by. The room went silent. She turned to Hargrove. Tell me, Mr. Hargrove, do you think firing a man for showing basic human decency is what this company stands for? He stammered. Ma'am, I was just following procedure. Grace's tone hardened. Then you'll understand when I follow mine. You're dismissed. The entire office froze. Hargrove's mouth opened, but no sound came out. He was escorted out moments later, his face pale. Grace then turned to the rest of the staff. Let this be a reminder, humanity should never come second to policy. After the meeting, she found Daniel waiting in the lobby, uncertain why she had asked him to come. When she told him what had just happened, he was speechless. I didn't do it for revenge, she said softly. I did it because good people like you deserve to be seen. And because I want you back, not as an assistant, but as our new community relations coordinator. Someone who can bring kindness into how this company works. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Say yes, she smiled. And go buy your daughter something nice tonight. She deserves to see her dad happy again. That evening, Daniel and Lily sat in their favorite ice cream shop, laughing for the first time in months. Lily listened as Daniel told her that sometimes, when you do good, life doesn't reward you right away, but it never forgets. Because kindness always comes back, often when you least expect it. Moral: do good, even when no one's watching, because the world has a beautiful way of returning kindness to those who give it freely.